We're tying tomatoes on
Bloom and Grow YouTube show.
Okay, plant friends, so we're back in the Fiala Farm Secret Garden tomato patch. I hope that you've watched the video of us planting this epic patch up. But Mom, what are we doing today?
Well, we cut yarn, and when we planted our tomatoes, we put stakes in near them. And right now they are really
wild
because I have not tied them up. My poor mother's rolling in her grave right now, but we are going to tie them up and tame the madness of the tomato patch. The tomatoes have to be tied to stakes so that the leaves get good sunshine, so they produce great fruit, and the fruit becomes very heavy and will cause topple the plant over and many times snap the stem. So you want to support the stem as best you can. So we have a stake and we're going to tie it to the stake with multiple knots.
Okay, Mom, so show us your tying technique that Nani taught you.
I take the string, I tie it around the stem once while holding, it's like a girotondo, while holding the stem, so it has one loop around the stem, and then I give it a little space. Because if the wind blows, you don't want it to be tight against the stem. You want to give it a little space, and then I tie a basic double knot here. One.
So you're giving it how much? You're giving it like a finger space.
A finger space. Just a little bit to move.
Nice.
Okay? So that's how it stays.
And now, as the plant grows, you'll keep going higher and higher.
And I'm going to take another one, and I'm going to go below the Y again. Be very careful. We have little flowers that are going to give me fruit here. Okay, one more time around the stem. Double knot, a little space there, because that stem is also going to get thicker as it grows. Look at the size of the thickness of the stem at the base. Look at the size of the thickness of the stem at the top. That stem is going to get thicker as it grows, so give it a little room.
Okay, so we're going to show a time lapse of stringing up the whole garden, but I wanted to show you, this is a perfect example of a tomato that we have let run a little bit too long. It's nice and tall, and it's actually creeping across the floor instead of growing up towards the light. So I am going to use this string, just like my mom taught us, and tie up this tomato plant, which actually has already set some really delicious looking fruit. It's not red yet, but we've got tons of flowers and probably 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 cherry tomatoes already growing. I'm gonna fasten it to this bamboo stake to make sure that from now on, sorry little guy, sorry we're a little delayed, but from now on you're gonna go big and strong up to the sky, okay? No more, none of this floor business anymore. Good morning, plant friends. I am back nestled in the secret tomato patch of my mom's Fiala farm. I don't know if you can hear, but the birds are having such a party right now. My mom has a bunch of bird feeders over there, the cardinals. We've got cardinals, finches. So they're gonna be chirping alongside me while I finish this video for you guys. But it's early in the morning. I came out. I love pruning suckers and just taking some time to smell them. The smell of tomato plants is my absolute favorite. There is just something so homey and comforting about just like sticking your face in a tomato plant and rubbing the leaves and smelling it and just enjoying watching these beautiful little yellow blooms turn into delicious tomatoes. We've got a lot of stuff growing in the tomato patch. So we've tied up the plants. They're all doing really well. It's just also such a relief to have them look so much more neat because this was a little too wild before we tied everything up. But another thing is, and this is something that I didn't know when I was starting out, but tomatoes need fertilizer because they are what's called heavy feeders, meaning these tomato plants, they get so big, they make so much foliage, they grow these like amazing little tomatoes, and that takes a lot of stuff from the soil. So it's important to fertilize throughout the summer, throughout your growing period, to replenish the soil to help your plants be able to uptake the nutrients that they need, whether it's nitrogen, potassium, calcium. A lot of times when you have tomato plants with issues, it's because the soil doesn't have the right, a lot of times when your tomato plants get sick or have issues, it's not necessarily the plant, it could actually be the lack of nutrients in the soil. So, as you guys saw in the first video we made when we initially planted up the patch, we used Espoma Organic's Biotone Starter, which has mycorrhizae in it, which help the plant. Mycorrhizae are like little fungi that become really good friends with plant roots and help them not get sick, uptake water, uptake nutrients. There's a million things mycorrhizae do. But I'm going to go through now with Espoma Organic Tomato Tone. The instructions off the back is to use a cup per 5 feet in a row on either side. So I'm going to go through, sprinkle some of this lovely smelling, earthy smelling tomato tone on the tomato patch and then give it a good water and hope that this helps replenish, give them a little, you know, a little replenishment in the midst of the season, because they're growing insane. I mean, the amount that these tomatoes like double in size every time I come home to visit my mom, it's unbelievable. All right, so here we go. Another thing that I didn't know, and actually I want to share this with you because my friend has done this too. She killed a cactus this way. Once you use a fertilizer like this that you spread on top of the soil, it's really important to water it right after. So the watering helps the fertilizer kind of absorb into the soil. I had a friend once spray. She wasn't using high quality organic fertilizer. She had a cactus and she just like dumped a bag of like granules like this into her pot and didn't necessarily water it. And number one, it was way too much fertilizer, and number two, like she like burned the plant to death. So make sure once you put this on, you want to water it. It's going to set it in place. It's also going to help the soil kind of absorb it. So the bag says re-up your tomato tone or whatever fertilizer you're using, garden tone, biotone, every couple of weeks, twice a month, to make sure that our plant babies have all the food they need to thrive. Now I'm going to stop recording and actually just spend some real time with the tomato plants. So some people really believe in pruning suckers. Some people say you really don't have to. My mom is definitely on that side. I'm still creating my opinion. But essentially the suckers, if this is the main stem and this is the main branch, a sucker is like a little plant that grows like that. And apparently from what I've read, if you prune off the sucker, it'll just kind of help reinvest energy into the plant to grow fruit or just continue to grow. So thank you to Espoma Organics for sponsoring this episode. I'm so happy to be using their products in Fiala Farm and my container garden all summer. And I will definitely give you an update with how the tomato patch continues to bloom and grow. But right now I'm going to sign off and stick my nose in this foliage and prune some suckers and just have some me time, some alone time in the tomato patch. So I hope you find some alone time with your plants this week, plant friends, and until next time, keep blooming and keep growing. Bloom and grow.